Any footwork challenge is maximized when efficient loading and landing stances are executed in context of what part of the court you're receiving the ball. There are many different types of reverse loading and landing stances. These three shown here are some of the most efficient and effective for play.
When a player is moving in reverse, it's more efficient to load in a semi-open stance and either 1 foot pivot up, or they could reverse pivot, or they could actually mogul shift. And these footwork patterns are a lot more efficient and will produce a much heavier and more impactful ball that you send to your opponent. So here's a closer look at the reverse angle movement, the loading position as well as the finishing position. There's several ways that you can teach a player to have extremely good footwork or efficient footwork that puts them in the best possible position in the loading stage to actually send the ball with power, spin, and height, the shot that they really want to pull off. So the biggest thing to understand is when you load, what are the hips doing? And what are the hips going to do as you strike the ball? If you go in reverse to receive a ball, if you load more in a square stance, the hips, you're either going to have to do one or two things. You're going to have to really swing hard like this in order for the right side, the right hip, to come through and generate some pace without using your arm only. Or you're going to have to really push through the shot like that. And notice my hips did not actually open up. They actually just shifted forward in that position, which is not typically ideal when you're reverse angle and receiving a ball that's pushing you back. So some footwork patterns and loading stances that are really efficient for this type of movement is go semi-open stance, and then you can do what's called a 1 foot pivot. You can pivot up on the back foot, and that puts your momentum, that you get your hips turned and get your momentum planting back toward forward where you actually want to end up balanced, okay? So if I want to hold my position on the reverse, I'm going to use this reverse 1 foot pivot with a semi-open. So I'm going to drop, load, semi-open stance, pivot up, and then I can hold my position without giving ground in reverse more. The second one, or not necessarily in order, but another one would be to reverse pivot. Now I am going to give up some real estate, about 3 to 4 feet. However, it's very efficient with as far as allowing the body to rotate to the stroke. Same stance, semi-open. This time I'm going to pivot and rotate on my back foot. Now the advantage in this is that I'm going to end on a break step with my left foot because I'm right-handed. So I'm going to pivot, I'm going to break, then I can push off this back foot and then back in position. The next loading would be what's called a mogul shift. And I'm gonna stick with my momentum going in that direction, okay? And I'll do what's called a mogul shift and get into sort of a side lunge. And so it looks like this. If I load, semi-open, and I swing, and I shift into that mogul stance. Okay, I'll do that one more time. Load and shift. All three of these footwork loading stances give me the maximum ability to allow my hips to rotate through the impact, which is going to put less stress on my arm and my shoulders, and I'm really going to drive from the ground up, which is really what I want to do as a tennis player so that I can conserve energy and be efficient, which is using energy wisely so that I can hit as hard a shots at the end as I did at the beginning, because I don't wear myself out physically by simply loading either here or like this when I'm in retreat. And now I've got to do more with my arm to generate the same kind of power, and probably not even as much power, because my legs are not engaged completely through the kinetic chain or the coordination chain.